Melusine by Reid Chapter 14, The Fallen Sentry. He slept very late the next morning. Just for once, the twins were up ahead of him. The first he knew of morning was Emma bursting into his room. "Hey, Rog, guess what? One of your old gateposts has fallen down." Roger opened his eyes and stared at Emma. She stopped dead and stared back. "You look funny," she said uneasily. "Are you ill or something? What's up?" He didn't answer. He sat up slowly in bed. His eyes went to the corner of the ceiling. It was all true. He'd been dreaming it all night long and woken with the idea that the whole business had been a dream, but the hole was there. He lay down again. "Don't you want to come and see?" "See what?" "The gatepost. It's flat on its face. The wind must have blown it over," Roger said slowly. "I thought it would." Emma started to go, then lingered. "Are you okay? Why don't you get up?" "I don't want to." "Oh." She trailed out, saying aggrievedly to someone in the kitchen, "It's Rog who's being lazy today, but you don't say anything about that." The door closed. Roger lay still, watching the hole, knowing nothing would happen now, but still watching, unable to come to grips with the thing this morning, as he had so successfully in the stormy darkness of the night before. Today the sun streamed in through the round window onto his bed. He could hear his family chattering in the kitchen, his mother banging about with frying pans and cutlery. He could smell toast and bacon. And it was impossible. All this and that. They couldn't both exist in his small world. He didn't want to get up and cope with the fact that they might. He tried putting it into words, mouthing them without sound. "I have a friend who can change into a snake." No, that sounded too much a matter of choice. He tried again. "I have a friend who changes into a snake." When? At night? When she's unhappy? When there's danger? When she's angry and can't do anything about it? When her father... The door thudded open. Roger's concentration broke jarringly. "Come on, darling, breakfast. It's a gorgeous day." Roger got up slowly. He felt very strange. His body didn't want to obey him, and he moved slowly, achingly like an old man's. He forced it to get dressed. Every little movement was an effort. He realized he was reluctant to go out of this room and face the noisy rough and tumble of the breakfast table, but there was an option. At breakfast he kept very quiet. Polly was up, her head bandaged and come undone in the night, but the bump had gone down and she looked more or less as usual. She certainly behaved as usual, bickering with Emma over who was to have the last of the English cornflakes. And then, turning her attention on Roger, "Why are you so dopey this morning? Anyone would think it was you who nearly got drowned." This remark struck Roger as another crack about his courage, and he felt himself grow hot. But he couldn't muster enough resentment to answer. He had no appetite, and this caused his mother to notice his withdrawn manner. "What is eating you this morning, darling? You're looking a bit glum, I must say. And you're picking." "Did anything untoward happen in that mysterious room of yours last night?" asked his father. "I'm okay," said Roger. "Just not happy." He got up. "I think I'll go and look at the gatepost." "Wait," said his father unexpectedly. "I'll come with you." They went out through the French windows. It was another hot, humid morning. The heavy rains of the night were now being sucked up into the atmosphere in the form of mist, but the heat was burning it off. Already the leaves of the trees had stopped dripping, and the slate roof of the chateau was bone dry. His father was looking at it too. Hard to imagine that roof was leaking like a sieve last night, he remarked. "Had to tackle Dr. Fell this morning, I'm afraid. Didn't enjoy that much, I must say." Roger turned to him so quickly he wrenched his neck. "Who? You mean Monsieur Sapé?" "Yup, about the leak and the power going off." What did he say?" "Oh, apologize. At least I think he did. But in a very grumpy sort of way. He's an ill-natured fellow. Said he'd come and try to fix it." "Why was the bedroom ceiling leaking?" "He said the roof's in a bad state. They obviously can't afford to have it properly dealt with. He said the rain comes in all over the chateau in a really bad storm." "In the tower too?" His father glanced at him. "What's your interest in the tower?" "Just that Melusine wouldn't show it to me, that's all." "Aha." They'd come in sight of the gateposts by now, and Roger saw at once that only one was visible from this distance. It looked lonelier than ever all on its own, Without waiting to reach the drive, he cut away from the track at an angle and ran through the grass with his father following more slowly till he reached the fallen giant. It lay cracked into 3 or 4 large pieces, but that wasn't what Roger was staring at as his father came up. "Look, Dad," he said, pointing. "Good God," said his father. There was a deep pit where the pillar had stood. It went down into the earth. They both peered down into it but couldn't see the bottom. "It looks like an old well," said his father. "See, it's round. But why would anyone build a gatepost on top of a well? Maybe to stop people from falling into it? Or maybe they didn't know it was there. It might already have been covered. Look, the pillar where it fell dragged all sorts of masonry up with it." His father straightened up and stared at the chateau, lying long and low in the sunlight. "I told you there's a lot of history lying around these parts," he said thoughtfully. "What do you mean?" "Well, you know the French Revolution. A lot of the people around here didn't go along with it. They were still loyal to the monarchy. They just wouldn't accept that the king and the aristocrats were dead or exiled. These loyalists held out here in the Vendée region for years, and the revolutionaries had to root out pockets of resistance, village by village. Very bitter business, no holds barred. There might have had to be hiding places, escape routes. So you mean this could be an underground hiding place? Or," said his father, "the entrance to a tunnel leading to the chateau, or rather away from it." "Can we go down and see?" Roger said with intense excitement. His father, who was secretly just as excited, stood with his hands in his pockets staring at the chateau. "Dad," persisted Roger. His father turned to him with an air of decision. "Let's cover the hole up." Roger's eager face fell. "But Dad, it's just for now. I don't want Serpay to see this, or anybody else, till we've had a chance to investigate it." He was setting pieces of stone at angles across the broken-edged hole and training some brambles to hide it. Seeing the sense of this, Roger helped. Every few seconds they both glanced over their shoulders at the chateau. "We couldn't know from here if he's watching," said Roger. "No," agreed his father. We're in full view. We'll just have to hope for the best." "His car's not there," Roger noticed. "Hey, that's true. Let's hope he's gone for an electrician. When shall we explore it?" His father straightened again, dusting off his hands. "It'll have to be at night," he said shortly. "It won't be any darker down there than by day anyhow. I've got another torch in the car. Come on, better get back before the others come looking for us. Not a word to anybody, okay?" "Okay." They walked back along the track. With difficulty, Roger restrained himself from bounding. He felt absolutely wonderful, filled to the exclusion of everything with anticipation and excitement. For long minutes, the discovery of the tunnel, or whatever it was, the secret shared with his father, the promise of an expedition of discovery that very night, wiped every other thought and preconception from his mind. It was only when his eyes, on their way skyward to see if any renewed sign of rain threatened their enterprise, encountered Melusine's bedroom window, and he saw her standing there gazing at him, that he remembered. At first, he felt a horrible jolt. It was so violent that he stumbled and his father grabbed his elbow. But then as he straightened and adjusted his step to his father's long stride, he suddenly thought, "Rubbish, it's all rubbish. I dreamed it. I must have. This is true. This morning. Quarrels at breakfast, the broken pillar, the hole in the ground, stories from the past about soldiers and battles and people hiding, the chateau roof needing repair because the Serpays have no money. I can't believe those. Girls who turn into snakes. Stupid, impossible, forget it." He gave himself a shake, like a dog coming out of a river. He didn't even notice when Melusine raised her hand in a tentative, sad little wave. And that's the end of chapter 14.